righty, call this meeting to order and pull up the agenda. All right, so we're missing, do we have, who we got? Chris
and
and
Shay.
Shay. Chris and Shay, so we're missing Lonnie, Patrick, anyone else? Jackie?
Elliot.
We got Jackie now. Do we have any announcements?
Yes. Got a couple, I just put out an email yesterday and a couple of webinars that are coming up, could be interesting, folks. One is, actually, it's right after this meeting, it's trailblazing accessibility. Ensuring equitable access to natural space for those with disabilities. Then on the 23rd, there's designing events that engage your community. So we're thinking about a national trail day event. June 2nd or whenever the first Saturday in June is, that could be a useful one. There's a dog park webinar on January 29th. The dog park design is actually a huge thing now, and that's put on by Play Court. And there's access versus accessibility, January 30th, and another one called Navigating NEPA and Trail Development on March 9th. That got rescheduled. So that's in the Outlook emails. And maybe we could just put those in the notes, some of the headlines of those and those. Yeah, just put that in the notes. So those are things that could be of interest to us as we strengthen our knowledge in all those trails, this whole trails field stuff. That's it. Thank you.
Alrighty. Let's see, any comments, questions? No community members? Kurt, you got anything to add in this section? Okay. Do we have consensus on the December 4th, 2024 minutes? Any changes, recommendations?
They look good.
Alrighty. So consensus on that, and then moving on to review and approval of the agenda. Is everyone okay with the agenda as written? Any recommendations, changes?
Do we need to have any kind of a update on the Trust Plus grant and where things stand, or if there's anything outstanding we need to tackle, or?
Oh, Rocky just went through. Shay, do you have anything on that?
No, nothing that I've heard after
Okay.
it was submitted. Yeah. I do have to say that Tappan is trying to get on, and he just told me that he's having, the link isn't working for him to get onto the Zoom meeting.
Okay,
So I don't know if the,
it's on for 3 minutes.
I wonder.
You're gonna bump one of them up. But him as, if he's not good, he doesn't get a new link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or if another link could be sent to him. I forwarded him the link I had, and maybe that's why it's not working. I don't know.
Well, Matt's looking at the laptop now to see if we can figure out, Shay.
Okay.
Who we get Eliana?
Dennis? Is this who, let's see, contacts, email?
I never link, I just
Do you have oh, here, I'll let you.
put in the code.
What was going on?
Tappan's link to Zoom isn't working.
Who's it?
The engineers.
What's his email?
I don't know.
Mahoney, Dennis Engineering.
Who?
Captain Mahoney, Dennis Engineering.
And Shay or Chris, somebody that is working, just forward their link.
Shay did, it didn't work.
It's not working.
Shay, do you have his email address?
Yeah. Hang on.
So we've got two people.
But I haven't ever emailed him before, so I think I might have to put it in.
It's Tappan, TAPPAN at DECNM.com.
Let me give that a try. I'll be right back.
Does he give the link to?
Yes,
Yeah,
he does.
Okay.
Okay, Rocky's saying he'll do it.
Okay. I'll tell him that we're resending a link.
Like I was saying, I don't ever use a link. I just put in the code and I open up Zoom and put in the code and then the passcode, and I never click on anything. So that's another way of getting in. If you have Zoom app on your phone or on your computer.
Okay.
He just resent it to us.
Okay, I let him know to look for it, so.
Is there anything you want to talk about in the meantime?
Bump down to item 2 if you want. Okay.
Well, we could tackle a little bit of that. The chair or the primary chair of the comp plan committee the whole committee has developed a template on kind of issues leading towards actions and what if we don't do this and this, what happens if we do this? So I know we've done a great job on our existing conditions, and we've got a great list of our issues. But the template would be helpful for the committee as they move forward on putting this together. So I'm looking for someone on this committee to take our issues report and put it in that template format. And that's going to help us as we move into the next phase, as we're kind of looking at those key goals, which we want to pursue in the comp plan, which I believe will almost align with what the committee did in 2006. I don't think those goals have changed much. So Matt and I can share that template if we have anyone willing to take a stab at formatting our issues into that template format is the big item. And then I think at the next meeting, we'll tackle some of those goals. Yeah, just establishing goals. May not be priorities yet. That'll come later.
When is this template due?
Templates due, I'd say in this month. Yes.
I can go ahead and do it since I've kind of already got.
Yeah, it's not that complicated to put in, then I can.
Probably a lot of cutting
Okay.
and pasting.
Yeah. So that's the biggest ticket item on that, and then I'll probably forward. We can take a look at the 2006 plan and pull out the goal statements on those and see if they're still relevant, yeah, to what we were doing and continuing on, and see if that works for us and we can move forward on that.
Looks like we got Tappan in. Okay, he just popped in.
Yeah, good.
Can you hear us, sir?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning. Sorry for the trouble.
Apologies, I couldn't get that first link to work.
What was that, sir?
He's gonna probably want to share a screen and maps, so I don't know if he can share from that setup or
He
not. or-
should be able to. Share. Yeah, he should be able to
Okay,
share.
great.
You can share all participants.
There you go. Nice. All right, see that okay? You can move around if you have to. Don't.
I'll just look at it right here.
Okay, Shane, you want to kick off this section for us? Introduce Tappan and tell us what's up?
Well, yeah, this is Tappan Mahoney, and he's with Dennis Engineering, and we're looking to look at the concessions and the bathroom ideas for the placement, for the Allen Fields, and we're basing it on recommendations by Public Works Department here and some previous ideas that were in the original plans with the original fields. And so they wanted the Recreation Committee's, input on the final design that we're going to try to come up with.
Kind of hard to tell, but it looks like you'll have to just maybe point out where the concessions actually are. Is that the concession right there? Right there, okay. And then the bathrooms?
So this is set up as a joint concession restroom.
Okay,
I have another, yeah, I guess, concept that was in the original layout from 2000 and some time ago that was never built, and it was proposed. If this building, does this show now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so in this, in the files that we retrieved or the village provided, they had a prefabricated, combined concession, men's, women's restroom with a mechanical room, that was, gonna be built offsite and brought, to Angel Fire. I don't know the history of how, why, or what was selected. I did notice that this was probably presented as an option because all of the plans are blacked out from where this set of drawings came from. So it's not specific to Angel Fire. It's just something that I think was presented by the group at the time. But this is kind of the idea that was also discussed in prior meetings of maybe combining the facility into one. And if that's a change, those are things we just need to implement to know where we will extend utility services for either a single or multi-building layout. And let me see.
And the thought, can I go back to the overview map for a second? So the thought is to keep everything in that central corridor that splits the two fields, all the mechanical utilities, provided services in that corridor then, right? Is that the idea?
Yeah, so the idea was to put it between, well, what would be between currently the existing and then a future field for access. There has been some comment from the village that maybe move this or shift this further to the would be south. But whatever you all decide is fine. We just need to come up with a plan. I guess update this concept plan that is acceptable, so then we can continue with the current phase of getting utilities and access laid out to accommodate the buildings as they are developed, and parking, and then also the future field. We want to avoid, if you see in this layout, we're avoiding utilities extending under, certainly under the existing, but under the future fields for operation and maintenance in the future.
is there also room for stands, bleachers, where that concession is and the walkway?
Yeah, so right now, this from this restroom, we're actually showing a 10-foot, we're calling it sidewalk, but this is a 10-foot wide access to the parking area. Between the fencing of the fields, it's currently laid out at 50 feet between them. I'm gonna jump back because I don't remember. So this building is 24 feet wide, so that leaves you 13 feet on each side of the building, between the building and the fence. So placement of this building may need input with respect to the strategy of where the bleachers would be placed and what sides those bleachers would be. Because again, right now it's 13 feet from the building edge to the fences.
The bleachers would be on the outside of the fence, on the.
Yeah, there's already bleachers there on the current field,
Are
and
they
they're on the outside of the fence.
outside the fence?
Yeah, right now, if you see this note 12, this is where current bleachers are set. Note 12.
Kevin,
Yes.
what do you think the logic is behind not having that square in the middle of the four fields?
The square for the restroom, just moving it south.
Put it right in the center. I know there's entries into there, but you've got plenty of room for people to walk into the fields with the concessions there.
Unless it's a traffic flow issue, if it's too much congestion around at the entrances and you've got that.
Players, that's where players would enter. Isn't that right, Kurt?
Yeah, sometimes having the, granted, the majority of it's slow pitch softball, but sometimes concessions directly behind home plate with a short backstop.
Yeah.
Isn't a great place for people to be standing with their back to the field.
The other note on this, and just so you're clear, the Frank Young Trail Extension will come up on the east side of that, right side of that trail. It actually follows utility almost at the utility line or not.
I think that's a road.
The road that goes up right along the edge there. So we're expecting that Frank Young Trail to come in on the east side, if that's oriented correctly, on the field there. So right there at the end of that corridor on the right-hand side is where we expect the trail, the multi-use trail coming from the school and from basically Liberty Square, Plaza del Sol, whatever, would come in right there. And that's kind of where we flagged it come into. So it would come up on the slope, staying off the field. And come in at the right side where you're between the split of the two fields.
Oh, on this side?
Yeah, right there.
So the south side.
That's where we would have a kind of a trailhead that would lead back towards the school and back into the village.
How would people get from that point though, over to like the main corridor?
I think that should be sidewalked or a pathway between those two fields.
Would
Level.
is there plans to
Yeah,
have
the
a
whole
pathway
study-
between the fields?
I
That's
believe
what
there
they're
is.
saying, a
Yeah.
10-foot walkway.
Between the, not the main
Between the two
corridor.
halves, not
Between the two halves of
fields,
the-
not between the two. The
Yeah,
current field doesn't have a pathway between.
Right, but you're saying the next one would have a pathway?
I don't know. I don't think it's designed to be able to have room for a
So
pathway.
the trail just ends there at the apex of that new field. How do people get from the trail? Cause I'm assuming there would be a.
well, we only put the trail to come up on top right now because there's no field there, but
Right,
eventually
right.
it would come
It would
around.
have to come around the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the trail's gonna come in here.
Exactly.
This is a entrance all the way
The main-
across here.
Right, so
This
the
is
trail,
a 50-foot gap here, but there's no entrance from here. So that, if that's what you're saying, these are the two fields, there's gonna be a fence, just like there is currently between these fields. There's not gonna be a walkway.
Right. We came up on top because there's no field there. It's the middle of the mulch parking
so
area.
eventually the trail would have to be extended around,
Yes.
come around the south end.
Right. And
It
come
looks
up,
like there's a property owner real close to.
yeah.
To
Come up on the
that
slope.
if we go, yeah, I'm assuming we have enough room to.
So if the concessions, it's 24-foot wide, the concession.
That design is.
Yeah, that design is.
I wonder if there's even room right between the parking lot and the existing field. Yeah, right in there, even to put it, but that's just an option.
I think that it should go more toward the south for a couple reasons.
Okay.
When I was out there meeting with Kurt, like we all know that's where the sewer line is. So it makes it a little more, I don't know, it's better to have it near a sewer line that's already existing. And then the other reason is because the trailhead is going to end there, we were talking about the Grants Plus possibly being able to get money for the bathroom also. And if the bathroom's in the middle of the field, that's not right off of the trail that we're doing.
Yeah, on the south
Good
side,
point.
puts it out of the way of bleachers and everything as well. So that's, I mean, I don't see any problem with that.
Kurt, is this the sewer line here?
Yes.
So it's gonna save a little bit of money, not huge dollars, but some money, the closer you have it to the sewer line.
Yeah, one end or the other puts it, yeah, definitely.
Well, we had discussed the location where they currently have the new equipment storage and maintenance, right where his cursor is, as potentially as the spot for the restrooms concession.
I like that.
At the south end.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't know your map wasn't oriented north, so that threw me off.
I mean, it's on the
Yeah,
opposite
it's
end.
it's oriented east.
It's on the opposite end of the parking, but it's less likely for people to mess with it too. You know,
You know, you won't get the people leaving business. I mean, this one is actually probably for operation of it itself. This one's probably more convenient, even down here might make more sense. But if we're gonna have to run a line through here, I mean, it's another thing. I mean, shouldn't be an issue for a while, but eventually those lines are gonna have to be replaced, and then those lines are gonna be running right down your corridor. So it's gonna make the fields potentially unusable while we're doing repairs on water and sewer lines. So that is an advantage of having it over here, is if we have a break in this area, it's not gonna impede. You may not be able to use the bathrooms, we may have to bring porta potties in, but it's not gonna impede the use of the fields.
we could have maybe an access road around to them.
So,
We
This-
probably have to have at least a 2-track for maintenance reasons.
yeah, so this focuses on just assuming that, Alan, those two fields, the only thing you have out there, but I've heard there's pump track and skate park and all
That's
of it as part of
what
this
30
complex.
is.
So
This complex-
what I wanna do, and this isn't my decision, and this is why I don't come to these meetings, because I'm gonna tell you what I want. But, what I wanna do is the dog park right now, I wanna move it to Liberty Square. I think it's gonna be more accessible to the core. I think it'll be more valuable there. We won't have to close it in the winter. And I wanna put the pump track where the dog track is. Pump track and the skate park.
Okay, so given that, are we suggesting there might be another bathroom facility or their pump track, skate park, or they're gonna travel up here to
I
this?
mean, it's always possible, but that wasn't part of our vision. They were gonna have to come up here to use the bathroom.
So, given that scenario, is,
I mean, we can do anything we want as long as we have the
no, I
money.
like, I mean, I think the dog park idea makes sense and we can do a whole lot, I just shared information on a dog park video or a webinar coming up soon on design. But if we've got another event complex out there with a pump track, and they're gonna have skate park competitions and pump track competitions, having a restroom facility and potentially concession closer to that or split between locations has some validity. Just throwing that out as a,
No, I think you're right. I get it. And if we have the money, it makes perfect sense. I'm just concerned. I mean, I don't know what your estimate is, Tappan, but in dealing with the county, I mean, this building is gonna be $600,000 or $700,000. Does that sound about right, Tappan, or what do you think?
That sounds reasonable. We're doing, so we did the portable restroom in Eagle Nest. You'll see there at their park, and we have another one coming up, and those are about, with utilities, it was probably $350. So if you're adding the concession, you're adding more to the
Small.
infrastructure and the building.
Well, it is good that it at least would be the closest from the Frank Young Trail.
Yeah, if I could, before we get too far away from it, going back to the scenario, the location, and from my perspective, the benefit to having the facility over here on this side, even though the sewer main here is accessible from any of these elevations here, you have to imagine from here to here, it's a relatively flat grade. And then it drops off into the ravine right here. Now, there's plenty of drop to hit sewer on grade. But in having the facility, the further the facility is over here, the deeper the excavation is for the sewer line through this portion. And in placement right here, it'll allow you to have a shallower excavation and save a whole lot of money.
thank you, that's.
That
good
makes
to know.
sense.
Well, and you know, even when there's events at the pump track and skate park, like big events, there's no reason why we can't have some porta potties out there for those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Specific events.
Most people, if they are coming to the skate park and pump track, they'll park in the parking lot, and I'm assuming they will walk around the north end to get down there, the north end of the field,
Right. Well,
as
probably
opposed to having, but then if they wanna come up to use the restroom or, concessions, they gotta come back kind of on the far inside.
I like it where it's at right now on the north side of the parking lot. I think having everything condensed is a better flow than the separation.
So. I think we said, so the reason it's not in the center where the two entrances are is one is just the safety issue. Potentially of softballs going over the fence or something. I threw out the idea of traffic flow and pedestrian congestion areas, choke points in there if there's too much in one area. Kurt says that if it's on the further south, then it's less money for the excavation. And we're saying that the dog park might become well, there's one idea that dog park becomes a I think it's actually be in the old lagoon. But anyway, so it was moved over to the other side of the entrance, a little bit further to the south, on the other side of the entrance. Would that help excavation costs, reducing it? That's a little bit further south, right?
Look at that portion there.
So in between the center of the field and the edge of the field, somewhere splitting the distance, maybe somewhere in there, I see that cursor.
Yeah, any movement you have towards the south with the building is gonna be beneficial to the sewer line.
Then you gotta think about bleachers, because usually the bleachers will be centered from view, because those are two halves too. I mean, it maybe one soccer field or two softball fields. So as long as the bleachers are thought, if there's room for bleachers too, but I don't know if there's gonna be dugouts and bleachers, which is that, and the
Well, they're not
dugouts.
really, there are dugouts and bleachers now.
Yeah, the dugouts are
The
inside.
dugouts are temporary, so we take them down in the winter.
Well,
I'll go real quick, Tappan, notice it's 2-inch water supply line. Is there any requirement for fire protection? I mean,
Yeah, if we're going to, I didn't catch that whenever they laid this out, but yeah, we'll probably actually, not knowing the full extent what you guys want to develop for the area, we'll probably run the main closer with the capability to add hydrants, and then at a shorter distance, provide the supply line. Yeah, this note here is probably going to be
6-inch.
6-inch, yes.
So the other thing that we can consider, if you want to go down that route, is I've spoken with the resort and they are willing to, with some conditions, to put a road from here to 434.
You're talking about,
And they would dedicate the land, so we wouldn't use this, and I actually think it's closer to the water sewer. It may not be closer to this sewer line, but that water line, and that's on 434, the only problem is it's on the other side of the highway.
Yeah, that, and we are there, when Camino Grande was built, there already is a lateral in place for the purpose of.
Going down that road?
Yeah, there's
I
a
didn't
T
know
and a
that.
valve to tie into it.
How close is it?
It's on Camino Grande.
All the way, it's on Camino Grande. Yeah, but the distance from here to Camino Grande is about the same as here to 434. And the reason is you'd have a 434 entrance, and the resort has some conditions on it. They want the parking lot to be paved, and they want signage that for Allen Fields on 434 is their basic conditions. And then they would dedicate land that would allow us to put a road in here. I haven't pursued that at this point because I felt like I was getting ahead of myself. But verbally, I've already got commitment from John Kitts to consider that under certain conditions. So they'd want Allen Field signage on 434, and they want to, the thing is, if the Allens put their name on it, they want it to look like quality. They don't want it to be just a mud hole parking lot. They want it to be a nice parking lot.
Welcome to chip in on the project.
Well, they think they are. They're chipping in. They're giving us the land.
Question
If I may,
on the,
Sure.
Speak to that. Hi, my name's Julie. I'm the grants and project administrator. What Mr. Administrator Weir is discussing, NMDOT would have to sign off on that. They would require an acceleration lane and a deceleration lane on 434. You're looking to add about another $3.5 million to that project, just for that entrance off of, the highway. And once again, NMDOT would have to sign off on that before you even consider it.
Well,
And the paved parking lot is phased into our project. It's a little further down the line. The first step is getting the infrastructure in and the lights and the restroom facilities, concession stands would be it's in the first phase. Just thought I'd throw that out.
Is there a deceleration lane on Camino Grande now?
No, this is, you notice how at the blinking light, they're putting in acceleration and
right.
deceleration lanes, cause they've done work. So it's a new thing. If you do work on there, they're gonna,
New requirement.
yeah, they're gonna
30
require
years
that.
old. Whenever you expand on state highways now, entrances need acceleration and deceleration lanes.
back to just the safety of the location of the restaurant concession facility. Isn't the backstop fencing higher? So if you
That's like
moved it,
20 foot.
I mean, cause it seems like where it is now, that's where fencing is gonna be lower. And actually foul, it seems like there's more, could be more safety from foul balls.
In
hit over
reality,
there
any location on that corridor
is open for,
is,
yeah, but it seems like the fencing is actually higher at the
yeah.
backstop.
It is.
And it seems like if locating it on one side or the other from center is gonna start interfering with your bleachers.
But you also have to look at where the majority of foul balls go. And I'm no baseball expert, but Kurt, you tell me you are. I would say the majority of them go back. Foul
They go
balls.
back, they go back quite a bit. Right where it's on this map is not the best place for it to be because there is going to be a lot of foul balls. Sure, there's foul balls on either side also, if you know, one side or the other. But it also gives you a lot more time to react to a foul ball if it's coming that way, as opposed if it's right behind home plate or the backstops. It's pretty much you yell heads and you get hit, or you get out of the way really fast, but you don't have as much time as if it's on the outfield, toward the outfield on either side.
Yeah, so if you're at the far end, either on the far north or the far south, I mean, those would probably be less likely
To hit somebody. Yeah, you have a lot more time to realize that the ball's coming.
yeah.
And especially with little kids and stuff, they'll hang out at the concessions and whatnot. And, they're not paying attention. So, I mean, when I'm out there working the events, it's always really nerve-wracking, mainly right behind the fields with all the kids running around there, yelling heads and trying to protect them all. So, yeah, in the middle there, it is a little more dangerous when it comes to foul balls, especially if it's when we get the other field, then you're looking at two sides of balls coming.
So Shay, do you think the existing proposed location has still got that safety issue? I mean, it's not that far from center, right?
what do you?
I think would be better if it was on probably the south side, like I said, due to the trail and by the towel. Sorry, due to the trail and being by the sewer line. I think that I mean, sure, some people might have to walk a little bit from the parking lot, but pretty much they're walking anyway right now for the porta potties once the games are started. So I don't think that location is going to cause any major issues with anything.
Where are the porta potties at now during the season? Where are they stationed?
They're stationed by the parking lot. So they're stationed at the other side. And, but most people don't park in that parking lot. As of right now, they all park in the middle, where the wood chips are and everything. So, they're used to walking to the porta potties. Yeah.
if the proposed fields are eventually built, is there gonna be need for more parking? And where would that go?
Well, and that's what we, in the plans, I believe the current parking lot, it can be even extended. Like what's up there now is not even the full parking lot. There's a lot of weeds and overgrowth right now. So, it's a lot bigger than it looks. So with the additional field, we might need, additional parking eventually. But I don't think that that's going to be something that we have to do right away once we actually make that whole parking lot available.
But it would be
But
all
I
in the
think it
same
would
area.
be like expanded into this area here.
It's not gonna wrap around over to where
Well, this didn't show the topos on it, but this starts to drop off into that creek there, so it may be more groundwork to get a level parking lot there.
So those foul balls that are dropping in, are they dropping in from, just dropping in overhead, or there's kind of line drives flying right back into the?
They go high and over your.
So could you put netting above that? I mean, is it an alternative to just
I
put
mean, you
netting?
could, it would.
The
certainly
concession will
help.
be covered anyway. You'll have a roof over the concession.
Yeah, the concession's gonna be.
So
enclosed. It's
that'll be the best,
the people
best
standing in
protected
line.
place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to bring a hard hat with you. If you need to come to a game.
Okay, so that concession stand is out there far left field. So there are you can probably count on one hand
Yeah.
the number of foul balls you might get in a tournament
Where-
in the far left field over that concession stand.
You're talking about where the red square is right now.
That's,
Mhm.
yeah, that's
Now we're-
far left field on that one field.
Yeah,
Right.
but if
Be coming in hot.
but if it was moved where the proposed location on that map is.
The red square is the proposed location.
No, I thought the proposed location was,
Oh, it's.
Yeah, the proposed
Right there.
location's right
Right
here.
here.
yeah, I think
The
that's.
currently proposed location is right
The
there.
red square is an alternative.
Well, Shay and I and Kurt were talking about the proposed location being the red square, because that's the south end. It meets your trail terminus, and it's also slope a little better for the sewer line.
Uh-huh.
So that's where, when we walked the field a couple months back, that's where we were envisioning that concession restroom facility being out there off of that far left field. Phase two of that park would be the implementation of the east side of the whatever improvements you want to put in, if it's gonna be more fields or whatever have you. So that'll be far right field for foul balls, very, rare.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion, I think the red square would be a good location for the facilities. Yes, people do have to walk, but it does tie into your trail terminus, which is good for the grants plus application, because it does tie into that terminus for the trail.
Right, ties into a destination.
What's the height of the fence now? Like 8 feet, 10 feet?
Well, they have a big backstop fence
Big
behind there,
backstop,
but the
yeah.
fence going along the field is probably 4 foot.
4 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the backstop field is like 18 feet or 20
yeah,
feet.
I mean,
Does
and
it
it's
have
just
an
a straight
overhang
up,
to it?
no,
It has
it's a
just
straight
a
up
little bit of
fence.
a slant at the top, but not much.
Yeah, I don't, it's been years since I played softball out there, but yeah.
And there's really no like line drives that are going to go into that middle area. It's mainly pop flies. However, in the middle part, that's where the batters are, and that's the main type of, foul balls that just go straight back. I mean, they're not like a line drive hitting anybody, but there definitely are a lot more foul balls hit in that area than, like Julie said, in far left field or far right field. There's not as many out that way at all.
Well, who plays there? What age groups?
It's adult men mainly. Slow pitch softball. Yeah, it's pretty much all adults. Some co-ed teams and adult male teams.
Okay.
So yeah, they hit the ball. I mean, quite a few go over the fence and everything, but like I said, not as many are pulled far right or far left out there as opposed to foul ball pop flies that go directly back behind a home plate or to the kind of to the side of first base or third base on those two fields.
I got Google Earth pulled up and it's an eighth of a mile from this part right here to where to this end. How many feet is that?
It's a little over 100 feet, because we had football on that field, so it's like 100 yards, so it's a little over 100 yards.
Soccer, not football.
Well, when I took, but it was football.
Also, located at the south end of that, it'd be less in the way when this second fields are developed. You know, moving construction equipment in and that kind of stuff. If it's further north, then they gotta go around it.
Potentially, yeah.
I like that southern location. I think that you guys thought that through well. I think you thought about the visitor use, visitor safety, traffic flow. You've thought about the economics of excavation and construction costs tying into existing sewer. It's close to the trailhead. There's good argument to keep it moving to the southern end of the field and then make that a nice little causeway between the two fields. You can walk, make that really attractive.
Yeah, 50 feet wide open.
We have discussed previously months ago, putting in some kind of overhang, like solar panels. So providing shade out there, because it does get very, very hot on that field during tournaments and in the summer sun. So that would be way back a few phases, but that was a thought, because it ties into that green energy, quote unquote, for funding sources that they like to see. So we were putting in like maybe a gazebo with somewhere in that causeway, in that walkway, providing shade or something under the seating, so that, you know, people had some shade out there.
Could you incorporate just the sunshade sailcloth fabric now?
Yeah, they could, I mean, you know, but once again, tying into funding sources,
Right.
which is what I do, looking for green energy, because that's a buzzword, that those solar panels and stuff, and I don't know how destructible they are.
I was gonna
even with
say
that
softball
ball, but.
Well, they
you
get
know,
some hail, you know, softball size hail, so that might work.
So that's a thought process going down a few phases once we get in infrastructure in, but looking at that possibility. Also having, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Taos soccer fields off of Salazar Road. Putting something like that over the parking structure that we would have, you know, once our parking's paved and everything, that's also an option. Putting EV charging stations out there, because that's an option. Just things that we're looking at a few phases down the road, it'd probably be about 5 years down the road, maybe.
Okay, so tapping if there is potential for possibly having EV charging station out there, then the power would need to be 3-phase.
Yes, yeah, we would, when this is laid out, we're looking at getting the power probably 3-phase to the site, and then we have to step down because we need to look at what the lighting is gonna take, what the facilities are gonna take, and then also the solar panels. And from what we've seen, electric and fiber, like the water, have to come from Camino Grande.
So in this proposal is lighting as well, which is those black. That's the lighting there. Okay, yeah, those.
And I think under that field, they've already ran the conduit is already underneath the field to go to those locations.
I'm sure it's in good shape.
Yeah, phase one of this project is, the infrastructure, lighting, concession stands and, the parking lot. Because the lighting is gonna be able to expand the tournament play, because right now they stop at sundown.
Yeah.
We'd like to extend the tournament play, that brings in revenue for Shea. And thus, we're gonna have more people, we need to have, improved parking lot, parking facilities, so that will. So we wanna have, conveniences of the concessions and restrooms, we wanna have the lights to bring in more people and more tournament play. And improve parking lot, because we foresee increased people, more tournament play, and improved parking lot.
Is there a scoreboard going in?
I don't know that, I haven't worked on that yet, so. I'm sure down the line, we could have a scoreboard, but right now, my brain is thinking of infrastructure right now.
Will they be able to put a transformer to consider the lighting of the bike park? I mean, somewhere in there while they do that, the pump track? I don't know if that's
We probably
necessary,
do that as part of the track we'd have to.
Yeah,
But if he's bringing 3-phase in, that's not gonna be,
it's not a non-issue.
I mean, it's an issue, you gotta pay for the transformer, you gotta find one, right now they're hard to find, but it won't be done.
Well, in the electrical design, if it was decided that there would be in the future a potential location for a transformer. You see on that whole stretch of power, it's not all underground. They can only go a certain distance.
Oh, and
And then they have to put what's called a sectionalizer. So, you know, I think it would want to be forward thinking when Kit Carson is designing the location of those sectionalizers to, if there's an area that has a higher potential of needing a transformer in the future, have it placed right there, because then the sectionalizer could be pulled and the transformer would be set.
So also, another way, you brought the idea of a road from 434 into there. What about even just pedestrian multi-surface access off 434 as an alternative? If you want to be a walkable community and people need to go back into town to the Stop and Rob or grocery to get something to drink or eat and they don't want to drive. Going back at Camino Grande where there's no sidewalk down to 434.
We have to
Consider a
approach the
small
resort and
access.
See if they'd be interested in that.
Yeah,
Have them walk the Frank Young Trail back.
you could walk the Frank Young Trail back, but that's a long route when you're not
It's a
so
long way to
close.
go.
Well, and the idea would be the phase 2 of the Frank Young extension. You know,
That's
'cause
true,
that's
yeah.
gonna, you gotta carry farther north.
I mean, just something else, when we were working on this before, we were gonna extend Frank Young to Camino Grande. And then from Camino Grande on 434, we were gonna go a trail all the way to the
RV park.
past the RV park to Elliott Barker Trail.
Mhm.
That was our goal, was
Yeah,
to get to Elliott Barker Trail.
those are still in there. It's still part of the puzzle, yeah. I think the RV park is a fantastic idea to get people to ride their e-bikes into town versus driving. So you have limited parking. Okay, so southern end, we seem to be in consensus with, this committee seems to be consensus with southern end of the field for the rescue concession. Romtech's a good company. Romtech has federal contracts all over the place for, restroom facilities. It's one of the bigger things, but there's other sources. National Recreation and Park Association has a whole list of vendors that provide kind of these facilities. So it might be worth looking at their resource list of what other options are there besides Romtech.
Right, so on the restrooms, I'm gonna say I pick restrooms like I pick paint colors for the client. I don't. I need you guys to look at what size, you know, what features you want into it, so that what is desired and, you know, fits your need. You know, number of restroom stalls and so forth. As far as manufacturer, it's not really a concern. I think that's I think it's a phase 1B. We just really need to know, you know, how many urinals, toilets, sinks, so forth for sizing the infrastructure and footprint.
As well as kitchen equipment.
I like that one that was already designed.
Yeah, it's nice. I do too. Just I don't know if there was anything on the kitchen. It was just showing where the concessions were gonna be.
it wasn't going to have a kitchen, we were just gonna have like shelving.
I
and
don't think
outlets
we
and
wanna
stuff.
go commission.
Kitchen,
It's
you don't
gonna
hear
open a
anything
whole
in there?
nother commercial license.
No.
and
It's,
Get a rotisserie hot dog thing going?
I think, I mean, I think you prep
You can
food
buy some
outside.
stamps, plus you can
sell it
sell it
on
there.
site.
And there could be a sink or whatever, right?
Yeah, well, the plan shows sink, refrigerator.
Refrigerator, countertops and storage, other storage. The thing you may want to look at, because that was discussed is offsite or grill, just bringing a grill is your access if you want it off in a different location, in a different type of building. Or if it's not that big of a deal, you're grilling off to the side and bring it in and serve it, and you have warmers and so forth on the countertop, but
I just think when you go to a commercial kitchen, you're gonna have a lot of expense.
Well, the idea would be just to have some 220 in there, just to plug while
yeah,
you're.
we're talking about outlets, like say a group, like say Cub Scouts are gonna operate the concession stand, they're gonna sell hot dogs and chips and whatnot.
Yeah.
So as long as you have, electrical capacity holding like their, whatever they're keeping their hot dogs and stuff warm in,
Mhm.
I'm not envisioning a commercial grade kitchen. I mean,
Yeah.
he mentioned having, grilling outside. I mean, it's an option, but then we have to look also at our fire restrictions, usually in the summer. I don't know, it's an option that y'all can consider, but it's out there.
Julie, I was gonna say we need a solar powered grill though.
Wind turbines. Okay,
Is 3 stalls big enough? Is that a big enough bathroom for what we envision? Cause what I'm just looking at, there's 2 urinals, 1 stall on the men's side and then 3 on the women's side. Is that big enough? Do we wanna look at having more? Is that sufficient?
that's probably gonna take some research from village staff to look at other facilities, whether other communities done something similar to see what's working and if.
I think that's comparable to the, one that's in Taos.
Okay.
Their restaurant.
It's comparable. It is exactly the same as the one in Cimarron for their track, field events, and they have
And
a
it's,
lot of people.
it's
hundreds of
sufficient for
people
them?
attend those events.
it's sufficient for that?
I
Okay,
think too.
cool, alright. Just,
House, I think, has
The
4.
women's line's always a little bit longer.
well, yeah. Alright, just wanted to throw that out there just to cover all our bases.
Exciting.
If I may, I want to go back to the fields. There was some discussion about coverage. So we did have adjacent to the restroom, there was talk of a pavilion. Again, nothing selected, it's more of a cover. And we had that adjacent to the restroom here. And it was, you could set on a slab, set some tables and so forth. So people wanted to sit. Is that still, you just shift all of this, the restroom and the pavilion over here, or is the pavilion not?
I would move the pavilion further south. So it cuts down on that, congestion cause right now where you have it, it's just off to the side of that one field and that's where your players, I think, are congregating and stuff and your bleachers are there. I think we're gonna have a little bit more room on the south end, so you're about mid left field on that one field.
Well, you could even take it off the field and put it further south on the trail.
The tables and stuff, make like a pad. Yeah, I mean, it could go south of that. I don't know. I didn't know what the right of way was. Right
Don't we have a property
No, we own
line?
that land.
Okay, so yeah, so it could go to the south of the facilities then.
What's that property line right to the south? Is that, who owns
That's-
who owns on the south side of that line?
Probably the north.
Resort.
But you just wanna go, you wouldn't wanna go, I think that would be enough room. I mean, it looks small here, but if you put this here, I think if you had like a pavilion on either side of the trail here for people to go sit, I think you could put it in within the property line there.
Like the ones they have at State Park, like just a cover and
Yeah, just
But our
like
trail maps
simple
in there.
picnic tables with a cover.
There are any setbacks on that, off of that property line? For improvements?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know what the setbacks are. They're at least 5 feet.
Right now, the existing fence and property line are pretty close right here.
Our trails, how wide the trail would be?
8 feet
At
probably.
least 8 feet.
That's what we're pushing for. That's what we, that grant.
Is the pavilion part of this phase?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the layout, so right now, the design we have is for the infrastructure and the site access and the parking lot. And then I'd have to look at my notes, the pavilion restroom are something that you guys want to bring in immediately after, once the infrastructure is ready.
Yes, after the infrastructure.
Oh, and the lighting, that's the utilities, including the lighting, the field lighting.
I think if you put the pavilion to the south of the restrooms, then it's disconnected from even though it's connected to the trail, it's disconnected from the activities going on the fields. I mean, I would think some people might want to go
It might
sit
be,
under a cover, but still be able to watch the activities on the fields.
it might be nice to have the pavilion by the entrance, by the parking lot. Oh. Yeah, over there somewhere. That way if you have
And that's a good
events,
point. It would be
other
a little more
events.
disconnected there if you go south. It's gonna make it hard to watch.
Yeah, especially if people got kids playing or stuff, I mean, they may not have to watch the details of the game, but they kind of want to be able to see.
Well, and
What's
people
going
who are elderly or mobility challenged could make good use of the.
I will
pavilion.
tell you something that I don't know if this is in your plans or not, but something I'd like to see out here is a playground. Because when parents are playing softball, what are the kids doing?
That's in phase 2.
Vandalizing
It is already in base.
vandalizing
Put 'em
the.
I've been in the restroom for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know that.
No, I think that makes sense a little, so that makes me think about someone near the parking lot also having, the pavilion thing, so if you were having a tailgate thing before your game, after your game, it's close to where your cars are, not
Please.
coolers.
Don't say that in front of our police chief, please.
I didn't say it was gonna be alcohol related, but if you, I mean, team camaraderie, if they're compiling near their cars, so there's another option for pavilion near
Yeah, that's
those.
true. I mean,
Yeah, waiting for their game to come on, like they're the second game to play, and they're up next.
So I think we need more conversation on the pavilion location, but that's not as critical as. What was that? This other
Yeah.
stuff is.
There's no lighting or anything in the pavilion, right? I mean, it's
It's
just.
not generally.
So it could be a solar panel that provided some ambient light.
There's
on
an
top of a pavilion, but that's low tech.
Would a
But it needs to
pavilion
be
right,
turned off at 10.
would a pavilion right in the center, where we had concerns about safety, the pavilion's gonna have a roof on it. You put the pavilion right in the center. And you wouldn't have to worry too much about the balls unless it would dent the roof of the pavilion, but it'd be kind of a central.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.
It might be nice to have it right in the middle.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Kind of anchor the,
It's a walkthrough.
yeah, and you walk, probably
not necessarily.
tables are there, but.
Oh, yeah, that's.
But I mean, people could sit there and watch a lot.
I think right in the middle would be really nice.
Once the second field's done, you've got 4 fields. And if the pavilion was central, and you'd be able to see pretty much activity from any of the fields.
I like it in the middle. That's a good idea, Tim.
Even for the players to go and sit down or whatever in between a game or.
Yeah, right now, a lot of them bring their own custom portable shade stands.
Yeah, you see a lot
That's
of
true.
those. But they have to, because there's nowhere else.
110 degrees.
Fair.
I like that idea.
So there's an entertaining the idea of a pavilion kind of in the center location.
I like it.
What's the, can you read those dimensions? What's the dimensions?
Consensus seems to be around that pavilion in the center idea.
I like it.
36 by
32 by,
24. So it's 24-foot wide too.
no, 40 by 32.
Y'all know
Is that
the
what you're
dimensions of the pavilion?
No, it's. And big thing,
Yeah, 40 by 32.
this is in the plan design, so we don't have to pick anything in.
I think it'd be lower tech than non-tech too, if you, I don't get it, this is almost for construction of the fields, it could be just an aluminum metal roof structure that's easier to remove and replace than something that's heavy, almost permanent as a non-tech goes down. So, could be a huge, carport kind of thing in the center.
I could see that being a great big sail flying away to Kansas.
Yeah, it needs to be, it'll have to be engineered.
Yeah, it's anchored, of course, but
And I would want something that's gonna last and be.
With that photograph you had, that looks nice. I think so, that would look.
Wood rock.
I don't wanna go.
well, we talked about moving all those bathroom stuff, so
Yeah, that
the
really looks
construction, so
nice.
now we're gonna put a permanent Romtech in the center, have to build around it. If they're gonna do the other field, so that's why I was thinking something that's.
Oh, portable.
Put some plumbing in if you're gonna pour concrete, it might be future bathrooms.
Or they, for Dennis Engineering, do they need a recommendation on the location of a pavilion at this point, or is this just?
If you want it planned in there, they're gonna need a.
You want it in this phase,
I think the center.
probably a good idea to do it anyhow, even if you're gonna do it in a later phase, at least it's
It's in there, it's in the
in
plan,
there.
agreed.
Yeah, if we can get a pretty good consensus on where you want facilities, because we want to try to avoid, if you'll see, we're gonna have water, electric, possibly fiber if you guys are gonna get internet service, but we want to try to avoid placement of those utilities that would lie under a structure once the structure is built.
Mhm.
I guess in the center would be a good place too, if it starts raining, during the bleachers, it all converge to the pavilion.
Depending, that's where the footprint of the pavilion comes into play, as you mentioned, with the utilities not being under a structure.
Yeah.
I think there's space there for a sizable pavilion and still have room to run the utilities through there.
All right,
So we're saying the committee's consensus for the pavilion is center.
I believe we are saying that.
does anyone not agree with that?
It's either that or the north side for me, and off to the side.
And I guess with that, what about a secondary pavilion?
The nice thing about a secondary pavilion by the parking lot is if you're gonna host something other than tournaments, you could set up there. And that would be the only other thing I could see is like when you're hosting other events, maybe.
Which we have already.
Yeah.
The kite. Your kite.
Right. Hint.
That was good. I think it was amazing.
It was amazing. Absolutely.
I heard a lot of good things.
Are we still saying that consent, do we have a consensus for a secondary pavilion here
Sure, why not? We just, you know what I mean, it doesn't hurt to plan, doesn't hurt
I
to
just feel
dream.
like if there's one and it is on that end, it's so far from the concessions, but maybe that's okay. I don't know.
No, I like the middle
way.
way.
That's.
I mean, if,
Yeah.
because
Field, it looks bigger, but it's not.
It's not, yeah, it's true.
like y'all were saying, I mean, it's close to the concessions too. And weather shit, it's a good shield for inclement weather.
The kite festival took place on Allen Fields itself?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that in that bin, somewhere in that area too. Yeah.
There's a proposed skate park is right here. 30.
Unless Brett gets his wish and gets it on a dog park.
Either that or where the old sewer.
I like the second pavilion, I mean, might as well, it doesn't hurt to plan, doesn't hurt to think about it. All right, is that, anything else on this topic for anybody else? cause I know that we have some other agenda items and we got 25 minutes. 35.
If I could real quick to.
Sure.
to Try to get my head wrapped around what is the goal to, what do we wanna start on May 1st?
The infrastructure for the lighting.
Okay.
And then the restaurant concession stands, and then by that time, hopefully the weather's nice and we can get the parking lot.
Okay.
And paved.
So would the thought be when the electrical infrastructure is extended, we do the water at the same time?
If we could, I'd rather dig, if we can dig once or twice or.
Well, I mean, there's
All
plenty
at
of,
the same time.
plenty of space, it's just your power is at 4 feet and your water is at 6 feet.
Okay, I
That-
heard,
I'm just,
Water would make
I'm
sense to do first.
just, I'm of the mentality, let's get something started May 1st. So what do we need to do? I know there was talk about a portion of this work that we had the money to get it started.
from my understanding, the lighting was gonna come out of the sports and rec, funds.
How much is it gonna be?
The lighting, around $300,000, I think. And then the restaurant facilities, there are grants that we're still waiting to hear on. I have a city parks improvement grant that was due in August and still haven't heard the disposition of that grant. The Trails Plus grant, we have this other funding, I'm not sure where the other improvements are being paid out of. But we do have other grant funding that we're waiting to hear from.
What
Our
do,
lodgers tax. too.
what do we see that's within our grasp to identify as what we can do?
Hopefully the lights, I would like to have the lights up.
The lights for sure. So we have about $600,000 in the,
What's up, Patrick?
of cash in the, Parks and Rec Fee Fund that can be utilized for improvements and maintenance on the park. Since this is a tourist destination, we do have some lodgers tax money available. So, I mean, it's really gonna be up to the council how much of that they wanna allocate. Because we are looking at also using a big chunk of that money for a new event center that we're trying to get started next summer. So that's a council decision that's gonna have to be made, but there is money there. And even though everybody's fighting for it right now, there's a little bit of general fund money left that we could throw at this if the council wants to.
Well, I think if we can identify how much of this we can get done with funds that we have, sooner than later, we need to start the process of identifying exactly what we're going to do. Go through the approval process, start the RFP process. Let's get work started. And we need to identify this and so Tappan can get those portions of the design finalized and approved by us. So we're not finding ourselves in June, starting the RFP process.
No, but I think that's what we're doing. That's what this is.
Okay. But understanding that there's a component to this that involves other entities like Kit Carson. Getting them to be on our construction schedule can be a challenge as well, with the challenges they have over such a big area.
Especially if you're looking for transformers.
I guess what I'm saying is let's try to not put ourselves in a position where we're, rushing to do construction before the snow hits. And obviously, it'd be beautiful to have the lights in place for this summer so we can start doing business year one.
I think that's what you guys are shooting for though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think so. I like it.
And all
Makes
infrastructure,
sense.
all infrastructure.
So it's infrastructure, right? So it's gotta be water first, right? That's the deepest. So water's gotta go in first and then,
Not really,
It's
because they're
prefer-
not on top of each
It's
other.
preferable, but not necessary, but,
That's to dig them all at the same time, right? I mean, digging.
Yeah, it's best to do it all at once.
because, Tappan, I don't know if we ever, identified for sure what our right of way is on the road that comes in. How much, maybe you have since we talked about it. Do we have space outside of the existing road profile to install the utilities? If it's a scenario where we're installing the utilities within the road. That's definitely a factor. If we're gonna dig it up, let's put everything in it while we have it dug up.
So we still have not received a plat. We requested a plat of this property. The only thing that we have basis is this approximate property line. That's an overlay sketch from the prior plans for this field. So if there's a plat, our assumption, we don't have the plat to confirm this, is that the whole property is open and there's not a specific right of way for access, but that's why we wanted to see a survey plat.
Follow up on that, Tappan.
Okay.
So,
No,
So,
no, sorry, no, for nothing.
I guess the only thing is
Appreciate
coordinate,
it.
coordinate between your department and Shay's department, make sure that if you're doing work, that they're not scheduling events or tournaments or whatever, and people know that there's construction conflicts on site, so that's clear. And also with the tourism staff, I think that would be a recommended coordination role.
Well, actually, I mean, Shay's the one that coordinates the events out here. With a few exceptions of a kite flying event and some of those things, but all the tournaments and stuff is Shay is the one that schedules them, not tourism.
There's a lot of soccer practice out there.
Yeah, but the season,
It's
More
in the
fall.
fall.
so they will practice some in the summer. I know that they do, but
So part of that might be it's the high school.
All right.
yeah, Melissa.
Do
So
you,
we need to get this done, so.
Yeah.
I was gonna,
This year events are the least of my concerns. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't want to.
No, no,
events, but if we have to.
I agree.
It's inconsequential to getting this done.
This is an important thing to push on and get this done and make that field, the crown jewels in town, so.
We miss some events one year for the next year to be
Way better.
way better.
Yeah.
do you need anything else from us, sir? I don't wanna take up more time than we need of yours.
No, I don't believe so. I appreciate you guys meeting today.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here and going and suffering through this with us. We really appreciate it.
I know, it's a pleasure. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tappan.
Thank you.
All right, well, we only got
8 minutes, basically.
so I don't know, what do you guys want?
I think Patrick might have any updates from his meeting this morning, and if he has to share, if not, we'll move on to other topics we can hit real quick.
Yeah, definitely wanted to drop by and say hi, because I haven't seen you guys in a while. So I finally got to meet with John Kitts about these lots we're talking about, and there's definitely not a thumbs up, let's go. He has to get this to the owner, Greg Allen, and his thought is the Starfire crossing before Halo Pines Terrace, that shouldn't be a problem. The issue could be 196, lot 196. He sees that parcel 40-acre lot as a trophy home lot, potential. So another option, if Greg Allen didn't want to do that, could be 193, which is a kind of weird lot. That could be an option to get around 196.
What lot was it?
193
193.
is the alternative to 196.
So we're good on 192. Man. I know there was a little portion of 192, right? What was that?
So this would bypass that actually.
Okay,
Yeah, this would put us on the other side. Not follow the sewer line up 196 like we've all discussed. Get it off that property.
did he consider how the trail would enhance a subdivision? A residential subdivision?
Yeah, there was, it's just like, the analogy was, some people want their home on the whole 8 golf course, some people don't. So
Right.
for somebody, that's a $400,000 parcel. For another person, that could be half the price. So that's the way he's looking at it in the 50-year range.
Cause the easement's always gonna be there.
The easement's always gonna be there, but and then you can put a road on the easement, but once you give that easement property away, it's gone. And that parcel's gone. That person buys that property, they don't have that vision of that trail being there. So that's the discussion I had. So it wasn't a yes or no, it was I just told you. And as a backup option, it could be 193, we could get around that property. Cause you
We'll
didn't
look
see
at
the
that.
value there in 193.
But there's
Okay, so then it's
good
not,
potential that they would be amenable to 193.
It's possible, and it could be with Mr. Allen that's great, take 196, this is a great idea, this is ties everything in together and.
Right.
where's one?
Don't know. More than likely, he's gonna defer to John's kids.
196 is the issue, but 193.
So what if, to do 196? What if we proposed some sort of MOU with the resort that they could convert it to roadway? I mean, the trail would then go onto the roadway. I don't know if that'd help any, because you're not gonna be able to put a house there on that easement.
Right. Yeah.
The only thing it can be used for is a roadway.
You're right.
Okay. So we would just have to give some sort of agreement that we'll put a trail there, if they want to convert it to a roadway, they would have the right to do that.
Yeah.
This is his curb that goes around all his businesses.
And this map doesn't really show it there.
We'll go look at one of the
High school.
No, it's.
Sure, no, it's all good, I'm just trying
I'm
to
sorry, I can't imagine anybody
understand where
buying a house.
190.
No, this is north.
Oh, yeah.
High school's up here.
How we get to
Oh,
190.
right, right.
Is gonna be opposed to trail.
Right, you're right.
Right, because 193 doesn't, there's no connection, so it's really,
Attention ponds there.
And it looks.
How do we-
map looks like it's right there.
sure north, it's the same. Okay, yeah, so this is the property line of it, this is
Yeah, yeah.
93. So how do we get
So this, he said this is the issue.
from here to here, potentially?
All right, wow. So we're not gonna resolve this right now, but I guess we should reconvene and have some people think through that in the
That's
future.
That's fair.
So he is gonna try to get with Greg Allen on this ASAP. He said hopefully next couple of weeks, no, a couple of days, he has a meeting. So he can.
Okay, cool, thanks very much for the update.
Well, then we'll kind of wait on that decision.
Yeah, so let's,
That's,
let's bring it together real quick. Chris,
we all.
you've been quiet today so far. Any thoughts, any things from you so far today?
No, I think it's good what you guys have come up with. I'm in agreement with all of the decisions, so.
So regarding our Trails Plus grant, we proposed alignment in that grant, but I don't think the outcome of that grant is dependent on exact trail layout. So I think we're looking at engineering design. So I think that's not gonna affect us. We have to move the alignment to accommodate the resort. That's still a okay alternative to think about. That's not gonna be a problem for us on that. Who wants to take lead on, anybody want to take lead on this piece of the puzzle? Should we hear back from, the Allens?
I'll take a look at it.
Okay,
So what can you do until the hours?
well, nothing new to the Allens, but once we can start. Matt will be point person on this to continue. looking.
Yeah, I'll look, yeah, I'll come by and start looking.
You see if maybe Carl even has that block track 193 plat.
Oh, it is.
Okay.
Not in this, he knows.
So we pretty much need to, wrap up here in a second because another meeting calling at 10.
Part of the resort.
Thank you.
Couple of things. So, Tim's gonna take a look at our existing conditions. And put that into the template for the comp plan committee. The other thing I want to bring up was, taking a look at our, deliverables we put in our charter for this coming year. So a couple things stand out to me that we ought to consider doing is one is, put together a quick annual report, 1 page of what we accomplished, what we worked on for the administration and council. We said we're gonna report to them monthly, and I imagine you're doing a quick update monthly, but I think it'd be nice if we just did look through our minutes and said, here's some things we accomplished this year. I mean, this is the committee. These are the things we worked on, and then maybe after that, we'll look at what do we want to tackle this next year. So I've heard interest in a National Trails Day event in June. What would that look like? And we gotta talk about that. That's 6 months away or 5 months away. We keep planning on that. We also need to be thinking about, yeah, are we working good as enough committee? Can we do a plus delta exercise maybe in the near future on how we're working as a committee, things we can see improved with our structure? We've been at it in March, we'll be at it a year. Do we need to look at any changes in leadership? Anybody interested in other roles? Is we want to continue in the same positions or not? That's a conversation at maybe our next meeting.
Be happy to give it up.
And yeah, we'll give it up. And review milestones, make sure we're still on track to what we said we're gonna do, and if we're not, what we fix on those.
Yeah, did we decide on positions and terms? Did we talk about it?
We have in the
We
charter
had
that we're gonna have rotating, so it's like a 2-year through, and then
Yeah, right.
rotating, but we
Yeah, so
have
that-
not determined who those would drop off and who would stay on. That's a conversation we need to have.
Yeah, we'll probably need to go ahead and identify those, get that clock going.
Yeah.
But we don't want to rotate everybody at the same time.
No, every 2 years. Somebody, couple people are gonna be 4-year guys.
And then one of the supporting resources was Village provides long-term digital storage for committee documents, and I don't know what the status of that is. Are we still working on a shared drive that we can put stuff in that becomes village property? That's how it works?
So the challenge with our drive is that our IT company will not assure the security levels we've contracted for if non-employees have access to our systems. So what we'd have to do is set up a OneDrive. And if you guys want a OneDrive, I would suggest you set it up. And if you're concerned, if there's cost to that OneDrive, just funnel them through Jeff or Shay, and we'll get them reimbursed or paid for. But we can't have non-employees accessing data on our servers because then the contract we have with the IT company for security.
Understood.
Yeah.
So the issue is still though, that if it's a OneDrive that I set up or Tim sets up, that's our data and you'll never get it. So what I'm trying to find a way to do is if we all, say, we've had it with the village, but we've all this great information and then you've lost it all. How do we assure that our charter and all these things we've
The
created?
institutional memory
Into
carried
a
on.
go-
It doesn't
So,
belong to us.
I think the answer to that is that you guys can funnel the information of the final product to Shay. And we are implementing a new paperless system. It's gonna be a multi-year process, but we've already sent all of our documents off to be digitized. And we actually, HR is going first and they're in the second meeting to convert them to a truly paperless environment. And the whole village will be paperless within 2 to maybe 3 years at the most. But what I would say is that y'all manage your work to the extent that you can or need to, and then when you get final product, give it to Shay and Shay will put it on our systems.
Okay. So let's, we probably should come up with something simple that says what documents need to be uploaded and.
By the way, we had the same problem with Workforce Housing Committee.
Every committee should have the same issue. You need to have this institutional memory, otherwise it's lost. So, okay, thank you, manager. I think it's all we have time for today. We need to probably wrap up. Last question, do we want to stay at a monthly meeting scheduled for another month or so, or do we want to go back to 2 weeks? 2 weeks was a little much earlier sometimes.
When's that comp meeting?
we don't have a reconvening all the trail of the group leads yet.
Oh, okay, that's not this month.
No, but I think we can do this work. We can still exchange stuff, email, have phone calls and discussions without having to inform me, as long as we continue to do tasks.
Yeah, okay.
There's
Pay
something
attention.
important, we can have a work session on it or something.
Yeah. You wanna keep monthly for a little longer, Matt? What do you think?
That's fine. We can do monthly.
All right, so the next meeting date would be, February, mid-February.
Keeping on this, it'd be the 13th or the 20th.
20th. For me, 13th is my wife's birthday. It should be-
Alrighty, well,
20th work for you,
That's
Jackie?
Sam's birthday.
Oh, it is, that's my wife's birthday, it sure is.
so who's gonna have to work on their spouse's birthday?
Oh, you know,
We Jeff is a dedicated servant of the village. He has to work.
I can do the 20th, because we'll go out in the evening. I'll go to work
20th 's good
no
for
matter
it.
what.
All right.
Works better 'cause I have architectural on the 13th.
Alright, so the 20th then?
We don't get days off for other days.
We do back to 9 to 10:30.
It doesn't matter, 8:30 was fine.
Is there, do you know?
8:30 doesn't matter to me, 8:39.
Meeting in here on Thursdays at
I can
10 o'clock.
Well, I can't.
Is it what is it?
Live.
The aviation or something.
o'clock.
I'll put 9 for now, and if there's a conflict, I'll let you know.
Or could,
Okay,
well, I'm,
Did you want nine?
I like the 8:30 if,
8:30 is fine.
8:30 works good for me too, actually.
It's all the same.
yeah,
Uh,
let's do
do that.
8:30.
Hopefully, next meeting we'll also hear from ECTA, Enchanted Turtle Trails, about their proposal. I've not heard back from them yet.
So is the ball in their court?
Speaking of that real quick, is there, I think I was supposed to, are we, needing to, become a member with them? As far as the village?
Probably.
Okay.
But they're gonna propose a contract or something.
I think they were gonna propose, I mean, there was one that was a $12,000, we all contribute. And then that was, with some things in that proposal exceeded what that 12,000 might be. For example, if they're gonna facilitate community trails meetings for us.
So we're not there yet.
No, we're not there.
Okay.
So
And if they actually supervise trail crews for the construction of some of their trail, that's down the line.
So they're gonna come back with what they want
Yes.
from us, and what they'll provide and what it would cost us.
Yes, exactly. That was what was on the table.
I don't know how I got that far.
I moved it.
All right, I think we're done. Matt?
Alrighty, well, we all good with calling this meeting to a close? I hear no objections.